Get ready, users. Tron Ares is on its way to becoming a reality, and I phrase it that way for a reason. Tron Ares is poised to make good on the open ending of 2010's Tron Legacy, with a plot focused on programs from the digital world making their way into the real world. Back in 2024, Disney invited IGN to the set of Tron Ares to share a wealth of details about what a modern Tron movie looks like, and how it attempts to establish an identity disc of its very own. Our set visit began with a roundtable discussion with the film's producer Justin Springer, whose involvement with the franchise began as a co-producer on 2010's Tron Legacy. He also worked on the animated series Tron Uprising in the middle there, so naturally, one of the first questions was about how Ares would continue that film's story. Springer essentially confirmed that Ares was a soft reboot of Tron, mentioning a feeling on Disney's part that Ares represented a good time to move on from the events of Legacy. But as our set visit continued, and certainly as we learned later in the year that Jeff Bridges would indeed return as Kevin Flynn, or whatever biodigital spirit version of him that we see in the trailer, that sentiment felt a little bit more like semantics schemantics. No, it's safe to say, based on what we've seen up to this point, that Tron Ares is firmly a sequel to Tron Legacy. It's just that the Flynns are no longer the center of attention. That would be the Dillinger family, who of course we first met in the original Tron. Ed Dillinger, the villain there. Springer put this into the context of how the Tron series has evolved since 1982, saying that if Tron asked what the inner world of a computer would look like, and Legacy followed that by considering how that world would evolve in isolation, Ares should be focused on the question of what happens when the lines of the computer world and ours start to blur. Which, yeah, considering artificial intelligence is dominating the global conversation and has been for some time, feels like the right time to make that the center of a Tron movie.
He's biblically strong, supremely intelligent.
When it comes to Tron imagery, it just doesn't get more iconic than the light cycle. The sleek, rounded edges of the originals and the glassy hard light trails they leave in their wake got a serious glow up in Tron Legacy. In both of those films, light cycles were entirely digital creations, but with Tron Ares all about bringing the digital creations of the grid into the real world, it was time for the light cycles to shift into another gear. Along with producer Justin Springer, we spent most of our set visit with Darren Guilford, Tron Ares production designer who returns from having worked on Tron Legacy. Guilford has done impressive work over the last 20 years, updating the visual language of established IP for the 21st century, and not just for Tron. Guilford was also the production designer for the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and he designed the Dark Knight's rad-as-hell Bat-Pod motorcycle. He carried that experience directly into Tron Ares, tasked with creating practical working light cycles for the first time so they could be towed on filming rigs for some of the chase scenes we've seen represented in trailers and in the footage debuted during the film's Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con this past summer. The design of the Ares light cycle is more iterative than evolutionary, harkening heavily back to the Legacy design. Guilford mentioned to us the importance of the light cycle, illustrating Tron Ares' theme of combining man and machine in its design. And the way you slot into it does evoke a sense of putting on a bike as opposed to getting on a bike. In a world where companies like Meta and Apple are pushing consumers towards wearable AR and VR tech that blurs the lines between the digital and the corporeal, it makes a lot of sense that Tron Ares is finding ways like this for the action to reinforce those themes. During our walkthroughs with Justin Springer, we saw a lot of storyboards for what's to come in Tron Ares. One of the most intriguing elements hinted at is how the film will be approaching the idea of the grid, the digital frontier which the characters often find themselves rezzed into. Never turn your back on a laser in a Tron movie, kids. It's been like 40 years at this point. That lesson should be learned. Lasers in Tron movies, bad, stay away. Unless you want to go into the computer, then throw yourself right into it. Now that we've seen some footage from the trailers to back this up, I think it's safe to say that there will be multiple grids in the film. Before we continue though, there is some canon context that may be helpful to reinforce, because Tron and Tron Legacy's digital worlds are actually not one and the same. The grid in 1982's Tron is firmly ensconced within Encom's computer intranet. That is to say, the digital world of the original Tron is a closed system under the control of the Master Control Program, an efficiency-focused artificial intelligence visualized as a spinning conical face. After Kevin Flynn finds himself zapped into that system, he overthrows the Master Control Program, ostensibly freeing all of the subjugated programs from their predetermined functions and roles with the help of Tron, a program designed by his friend Alan Bradley. The good guys get proof that Ed Dillinger, who runs ENCOM, had stolen the credit for Flynn's Space Paranoids game, and it's a classic story over, movie over ending. But Tron Legacy drills down a little deeper into the metaphysical aspects of that ending as we learn that Kevin Flynn created his own grid outside of ENCOM to test the limits of digital creation. Tests that eventually led to the genesis of the ISOs, an immaculately conceived digital race of programs which were not written by any user. Essentially, emergent AI. It's this grid which Kevin Flynn, his estranged son Sam, and the ISO Cora liberate from the reign of Clue, Kevin Flynn's authoritarian digital avatar. So that's 2 Tron movies, each with their own grid. Without giving too much away, Tron Ares seems poised to acknowledge these branching digital realities with at least 3 separate systems. One belonging to the new Dillinger Corporation, which seems to be a splinter group started by the Dillinger family, one belonging to ENCOM, and one that's still a little bit of a mystery but is sure to get fans of the original Tron aesthetic excited, and it is represented in the trailer. Here you go.
Fascinating.
The Tron franchise has a reputation of being at the cutting edge of filmmaking technology. The 1982 original is considered the first movie to extensively use computer-generated imagery, and Legacy, along with Avatar, helped pioneer 3D filmmaking in the 21st century, shooting on a custom stereoscopic rig. Legacy is also remembered for being on the bleeding edge of photorealistic digital character design, and a solid reminder of why we use the phrase bleeding edge in the first place. From a story perspective, the villain Clue being a clone of Jeff Bridges' Kevin Flynn at his most ambitious makes a ton of sense.
Am I still to create the perfect system? Yeah.
But the execution has aged worse than anything else in Tron Legacy. And it's worth noting here that in the next couple of weeks from time of taping right now, we're actually going to be seeing 4K remasters of both Tron and Tron Legacy released on home media for the first time. One of the things they've announced as part of that remaster is that they are going to do some touch-up at least on Jeff Bridges' face in Legacy.
The cycles haven't been kind, have they? You don't look so bad.
As for Ares' technological reason for being, our time on set didn't afford us too much sense of what that is. Recent comments from Tron Ares director Joachim Ronning suggest that the film as a whole is, quote, the holy grail of computer graphics. What was well represented during our time on set, though, was that Tron Ares is using every method under the sun to bring its story to life. Though there definitely was some on-location filming, our set visit was restricted to the sound stages we toured in Vancouver, where we got to watch a scene being shot against the volume digital set technology that's been rapidly adopted by studios in recent years. That scene was set in the real world, featuring Greta Lee's Eve Kim at the base of a communications tower. This seemed like it was a piece of a larger action sequence that was being grabbed. Cool as the volume may have been to behold, though, sometimes the old ways are best. We got to walk through the bridge of Ares' command ship, a massive red and black chamber that definitely communicates the austere power and focus the Dillinger programs wield. After that, Darren Guilford brought us through the set of an executive suite at ENCOM headquarters, the centerpiece of which was an office walled in on all sides by glass. It belongs, or belonged, to Kevin Flynn, and ENCOM seems to have preserved it as a monument to their lost president. Flynn's office is full of Easter eggs, like a Rolodex I spotted opened to the contact info of Tron's user, Alan Bradley. Guilford mentioned that my on-set flagging of that may make me the first person to spot an Easter egg in Tron Ares, and if there's an award for that or any sort of monetary prize, I have not seen it come through the mail. I'm still waiting. Finally, we observed a rehearsal for a fight scene that incited a true holy shit moment for the Star Wars fans among the assembled journalists. And given we're the nerds that got sent to the new Tron movie set, that was most of us. My colleagues and I were brought onto a blue screen stage where a dozen or so stunt performers were practicing fight choreography for a battle with Caius, a program played by Cameron Monaghan, who our audience may know for his role as Cal Kestis in the Star Wars Jedi games. The worlds of Tron and Star Wars collided in a big way when Monaghan walked out onto the set, dual-wielding a pair of lightsaber-esque batons and ready to kick all kinds of ass with eerie similarity to the dual-wielding form from Jedi Survivor. It was an especially surreal moment for me because I had, not kidding, days before this trip, just beat Jedi Survivor, and I used the dual-wield stance almost exclusively. It was this weird moment of video game real-life synchronicity, and I started thinking to myself, was this some sort of glitch in the system? Had I been digitized into a computer world somewhere along the way? Did I step in front of a laser and not realize it? Am I still in the computer now? I hope not, because then I won't be able to see Tron Ares when it comes out on October 10th. Are you excited for Tron Ares? Are you worried that you're also stuck in a computer? Let me know in the comments, and for more on the movie, check out my reaction to the footage they debuted at San Diego Comic-Con. For everything else, biodigital jazz or otherwise, keep it here on IGN.